Today we are going to get some more progress with this community sketch done, and I am really excited. I feel like it's in a really good spot. I have a handful of windows that I need to fill in and some details on the street, but I am going to work on this and then we're gonna go meet up with Boo a little bit later. But let's make some progress, see what we can get done within like the next couple of hours, and then let's hit the city. If you're new here, welcome. I am Alexis. I am a full-time artist here in New York City, and on this channel I share my art and inspiration and my love for New York. And if that sounds like something you're into, I invite you to stick around. I knew that this sketch was going to take some time before I even began. I think that's why I waited so long to begin this project, because it is so large. I knew that it was going to be something that took a long time to complete. And I think that there is something to giving yourself space to take on those bigger, more daunting projects. And sure, I would like for this sketch to have been finished much sooner than it was. However, I really enjoyed the process, and I really do enjoy the slow and steady aspect of this work. And so I think that once I'm able to kind of detach from the need to be productive and to have a finished product at the end of the day, I can find more and more enjoyment in what it is that I am doing. And I think that is part of this journey that I am on as I am stepping into building this life of the full-time artist. It's, yes, I need to be able to pay the bills with what it is that I'm doing, but I also, first and foremost, really want to enjoy what it is that I am doing. And so I've been really working through that internal pressure of the finished thing to give myself space for the experimentation and the process that is necessary to build what it is that I hope this will become, and the life that I dream is possible. And I really look forward to finding more time to partake in this process in the months to come. Alright, so I've been sketching for a few hours. I added some of the details just to kind of fill it out so I could envision more of what it will look like once it's all in paper. And I have 2 more people and some things happening. I have 2, 4, 6 more windows to figure out. And so I'm gonna give myself a minute to kind of think about what I want in those. But I gotta get out the door. I gotta go meet Boo. I want to meet her in the city at a spot that I've been wanting to go to for years. I don't know, if you also live in New York, I think you might understand how easy it is to just get kind of stuck in your neighborhood. But I live in New York, so I want to get out of my neighborhood, and I'm going to meet her at a spot that just looks really beautiful, that I've wanted to check out for a while. And she's super familiar with it, which is excellent. So I'm gonna set this aside. Tomorrow, my goal is to get this sketch completely done so that I can start composing the final paper piece. But I'm feeling really good, and I think I can show you because I went over it. I made it a little bit darker, but this is what I have so far. Yeah, I think you can see this better than you've ever been able to. So this is what I've been working on, and I'm really excited about it. And that's what I've got. And so, I don't know. I think it's really important to find your style and to not be embarrassed about your style. I think that it's so easy, and this is something that she talked about in The Artist's Way, like how easy it is to compare your stuff to somebody else's, but I think what sets you apart is like your unique way of interpreting and representing what it is that you want to interpret. And so I have very unapologetically really been leaning into my style, and it's a style that I've had for a long time, but I've over, you know, the course of a handful of years have experienced periods of like maybe embarrassment, that it's like, a little bit whimsical or childish. But I honestly think that's kind of what makes it a little magical. And I have, within, the past few weeks, really gotten very excited about what it is that I do. And I know that there's space for it. So anyways, if you are an artist, find your way of doing what it is that you do, and don't let anybody tell you that it should be any other way. I think that that's what it is. Everybody likes to tell me what I should do or what my art should represent or what it should mean, and it's really easy to listen to all of those outside voices and to second guess what it is that you do. But I think that we are all put on this earth with a very individual mission, for lack of a better word. I know that sounds real woo-woo, but I don't know, man. Nobody else can do exactly what it is that I'm doing, and nobody else has the experience that I have to bring to the table. And there's value in what they do, and there's value in what I do, and there's value in what you do. And I think that the more we can stand firm in the power that we have in what it is that we are supposed to experience and bring forth, the better we all are for it. So anyways, I'm really excited about this piece. When I do an 8x10, it usually takes a handful of days, maybe a week or so. And so I knew that this larger piece was going to take me a little bit longer. I am really excited about it. I'm really excited. So anyways, nice to chat for a sec. I gotta get my shoes on and I gotta get out the door because Boo is always early. And now that I don't teach, I'm not as punctual as I used to be. So I need to get there on the earlier side so she's not waiting too long. So let's get out the door and let's get into the city and let's see what the night holds. Last night was a lot of fun. We started out at the Beekman in the Temple Court bar, and it was really, really lovely. And then we finished the night at a place called Overstory, which is 63 floors up, beautiful views of the city, 10 out of 10 recommend. And the first part of today, I finished the sketch for this large piece. Finally, it is done. And now I just have to make it. But it feels good. The sketch is done. It is all of the things and all of the layers. So that is going to take some time to create, and that can't be for today. I am in the process of independently beefing up my portfolio because I would like to get some more editorial work. And so I am adding some portraits because I really love making portraits. So I'm going to add some portraits to that and send it around to some people and see, what comes of that. And so I'm going to start a portrait of Chappell Roan. I just hit the store for the things for dinner and I realized I forgot one of the ingredients. And I could feel in my gut that I was missing something, and then I got home and I double checked the recipe, and of course I'm missing something. But I'm just gonna make a New York Times soup tonight because it's kind of chilly outside, and I got some French bread from the bakery, but I forgot the dill, so I gotta go back for that at some point. Not now, because I just got home. But I'm gonna set this sketch aside and I'm gonna get started on Chappell. Let's see how far we can get. It is 4:45, so I probably have about 2 hours until Mario gets home and I'm gonna get dinner started. And then we'll finish whatever we don't get done today tomorrow. But I am relieved that this sketch is completed because y'all saw it was it was like multiple vlogs of like beginning stages, and the thing is, like, these pieces are so time intensive, and I think that's true with any medium. I perceive, based on conversations that people initiate with me about this work, that they think that it is quick work, that it is like not super involved and can be completed pretty quickly. And so it's always interesting when I describe the process and actually let them know that, you know, those portraits, those family portrait commissions, those take like 20 to 30 hours a piece, which is why I've been really thinking about the price of them. And I think that if you are an entrepreneur of any kind, if you sell something that you create, you have to make sure that you are paying yourself a living wage. When I first started out with those portraits, it was like a bonus thing, and my first client set the price, and I was like super excited about it because it was just like extra income. But now this is my only income and it needs to pay me a living wage. So I need to make sure that I'm paying myself, you know, an hourly or daily rate that will allow me to live in New York City and continue to create this art. So I have been on this ever-ending journey of slowly increasing my prices. If you are an entrepreneur, increase those prices because you deserve a living wage. And yeah, things take a long time. Things always take longer than we anticipate. And so I'm gonna set this sketch aside. I'm gonna pull out Chappell. I honestly think I might just kind of begin her, you know, like very beginning stages, maybe her body, like the base layer of her body and her head. I think that's gonna be the direction for now. But let's get going and let's see what we can get done in the next couple of hours. And then I gotta go back to the store to get that dill, and then we'll make some dinner. And then I don't know if y'all watch Love is Blind, but in my household, we watch 2 reality TV shows. We watch Jersey Shore and we watch Love is Blind, and Love is Blind is releasing tonight, their next batch of episodes. So our plan is to eat some warm food and to watch some Love is Blind, and we'll pick back up with whatever we don't finish. So let's get this moving and see what we can do. And this is the full sketch. I wanted to show you just it in its entirety. All of these little pieces will be individually cut and assembled, and that is a task that I am greatly looking forward to. This must be a season for red curls, because in my last vlogs when I was making that piece, she also had red curls. So, you know, this felt like a natural segue to go from one beautiful red curly haired woman to the next. But something that I really love is just getting into the small details of every piece and finding ways to capture the texture. And with curls and with small movements, it is not uncommon to break a bunch of blades. The tips of them will snap off. And so, you know, we go through quite a bit, but I think it's well worth it because there's something to capturing all of this texture in paper that I find immensely satisfying. Alright, so I've started the hair for Chappell, and it's just a lot of curls at this point. So lots of little curls that I'm gonna have to glue down. But that feels good, getting that started. I'm gonna pause and I am gonna go get dinner started. I think Mario is wrapping at the studio soon. Let's go get that made and cross our fingers that I can figure it out. We don't cook much in this house. I wish we did. I always say, oh, but if I had an actual countertop or if I had more workspace, then I would cook more. And I realize more and more, like, what are you waiting for? Because this is the life you have now. And so, y'all, I might not be the world's best chef, but I am really trying to find opportunities to do a little bit more cooking and to just stretch a little bit outside of the average stir fry that we do so often. So now I just let it boil and hope for the best. I've never made this before. It's like a barley lemon soup, but I added beans to it, so it was more like a stew, and it'll either work or it won't work, but you don't know until you try. But overall it's pretty easy. It's like onion, garlic, vegetable stock, some celery, barley, and then I added little white beans and some white kidney beans? I don't know, two types of white bean. And then once it boils, the barley will open, and then you add lemon juice and spinach, and you top it with like a creme fraiche, I think that's how you say it, or in my case, just some Greek yogurt. I'm gonna let this do its thing, and I'm gonna get maybe a little bit more done on this Chappell, but I'm gonna get dinner ready, we're gonna eat, we're gonna watch some Love is Blind, and I'll catch you tomorrow. And here's the soup in its final form, and it was really delicious. Alright, so today our number one task is to get Chappell done, and if I can get Chappell done, then I think it's a solid day, and I think I'm gonna be able to do that. So let's get started. I just did the dishes and reset the bedroom and did like my morning routine, and now I am ready to sit down at my desk and get this done. And then later tonight we're gonna go see Substance, which is a new horror film with Demi Moore at BAM, which is my favorite movie theater. It's so beautiful. So a little reward for a handful of days of solid work. But I'm gonna put in my podcast and we're gonna get Chappell done, and it's gonna be a good one. So let's get going. It's been really interesting to me how many times Chappell Roan has been brought up in conversations, and how I specifically have been asked for my opinion on her. And perhaps it's because I'm from Missouri. I was born and raised in St. Louis. She is also from Missouri. Y'all, I love her. I love her. I think she's phenomenal. I'm not typically a pop girly. Like, I love music, but I don't typically find myself drawn to the women of pop music. But I think what I really needed was a lesbian drag queen, because I find Chappell to be quite magical, and I am super here for it. A lot of the conversations around Chappell have absolutely centered around queer identity and what it's like to grow up in Missouri. And I honestly think that if you yourself are not from a small Midwestern town or have experience in such places where perhaps thought patterns are the same, you don't fully understand how difficult growing up in such places can be. And I think that this is true for countless identities and countless communities, but I really find there to be such power in what Chappell is doing for the queer communities of those small Midwestern towns. Growing up in the 90s in St. Louis, it was an interesting time. I remember being a young person, a young child, elementary school, and really wanting to get Annie Lennox's single for Walking on Broken Glass. I don't know why. I loved it. I thought it was a bop. But when I went into the record store and I picked it up to purchase, my mother told me that I could not get it because she believed that Annie Lennox was a lesbian. And that was enough for her to tell me that I could not buy it. However, she did let me buy Janet by Janet Jackson, where there's hands holding her breasts on the cover. So make that make sense. I think that's actually one of the funniest stories from my childhood and kind of sums up where I come from. But I don't know. I think that there's a lot of power in this new generation and the comfortability with talking about who we are and who they are. And also there's been this push back on the need to clearly label and define. And I think that that's where I always existed, where it was like, I don't care who you are. If you're a solid human, I'm down. And at times, we don't always have the language for our experience. And so this pressure to name can be, in a way, equally as oppressive, right? Because we might have to label ourselves as something that we are not, but we don't fully have the language or the experience to know what it is that we are. When I was a little bit older, in like middle school, high school, my mom she always likes to have conversations when we're in the car, when we're moving and there's no escape. Repeatedly, especially throughout high school, she would wait until we were in the car and she was taking me to like a swim practice or something, or she wanted me to run an errand with her. And she would ask me if I was a lesbian. And it was so funny because I knew that that wasn't what I was. But the way that she asked it, there was such a shame about it. And she would be like, it's fine if you are. But I also knew that it really wasn't fine if I was. It kind of prevented me from really understanding who it is that I was and being able to explore that identity more fully. And I just look at the generations who came before us and everything that they experienced and went through. And I think about how far we've come, where we have, Gen Z who in a lot of ways can be so freely who they are in a way that those of us who are a bit older couldn't be. And then we see the rhetoric that comes out of MAGA and all of the laws that are being passed to regulate bodies and to criminalize identities. And I realize how far we still have yet to go. And so, I think when I create portraits of people, sometimes I create it just because I really have a lot of fun with what it is that they do. But a lot of the times, the people that I am led to create, the reason why I create them is because of who they are and the power that they provide for communities and for self-expression and for standing firm within who it is that each one of us is and are meant to experience in this existence, in this life. And so, yeah, Chappell's a pop girl, and I'm really grateful for the voice that she is providing. And so that is the thought that went behind the creation of her portrait. And I am really thrilled that I had the time to actually sit down and get her made. And I really hope that, whoever you are, you have the space to really understand who it is that you are and to learn who it is that you are so that you can live as your truest, authentic self. I think that was one of the things as I got the language for what it is that I identify as and what my experience has been, I was like, well, hell, I'm 40. So, and I found my person. So is it really necessary to name this and to stand in it? And it's like, yeah, there is a power in identification and naming your queerness and really fully stepping into that, because when you are able to do that, perhaps you empower others to also do that. And I think that if we only get one shot at this life, for me, I never want there to be a hidden part of myself. I think that's what the past really 2 years have been all about, as I've stepped more into this artist identity and as I have really understood more about my queerness. The first half of my life, I lived for everyone else, and I fulfilled roles for everyone else, and I followed all of the rules that I thought existed, right? But I realized they're just arbitrary at this point. And now in this second half of my life, what I want more than anything else is to live unapologetically, to be my fullest self, and to really experience all that life has to offer. And so I think that there is absolutely something in standing firm in who you are and what you bring to the table, no matter what that might be. And I really just want to encourage you, if you are on a journey of self-discovery, whatever that might look like for you, I hope that you are able to find your power and to stand firmly in who it is that you are meant to be. All right, Chappell is done, and I am pretty excited about her. I have had her on my list to do for quite some time, so it feels good to have her done. And now I gotta get ready and we're gonna go to the movie, and I'll show you BAM, because BAM is beautiful. Brooklyn Academy of Music, old theaters and what have you, converted into movie theaters. So let's get this cleaned up, let's get out the door, and let's get to BAM. If you made it this far, I just want to thank you for spending your time with me. I truly am so honored that so many of you come back week after week. If you found enjoyment, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. That really helps YouTube know that there's something happening here. They're more likely to share me with more people just like you. And if you would like to follow along as I build the life of a full-time artist here in New York City, I would be honored if you subscribed. We have a small and growing community here, and I am thrilled. But with all of that said, whatever time of day you've watched this, I hope it's been a kind one. Until next time.